My name is Faye D'Souza. This is, of course, our every evening conversation where we talk about things that are of interest, some of it news related, some of it not. Today, we're going to have a very simple conversation, the kind that I believe a lot of people are asking around the country, which is what is going on in West Bengal? I mean, it's obviously a very, very high stakes, campaign that's going on right now. And this we had established in a conversation we had months ago that it was going to be high stakes for both of the main parties involved, the TMC and the BJP. The rest of them seem to have sort of just faded into the background. But news of Mamta Banerjee getting hurt in what she has called an attack, what the opposition, the BJP, is saying is not really an attack. There was a very worrying photograph of her uploaded on the internet today in hospital with her foot in a cast, saying that she's probably going to be wheelchair confined for the next few days. But, the question we have to ask is this. Here is a sitting chief minister who has been hurt. There are, of course, questions being raised about how this happened, given that her security is the job of the state police, who she effectively commands. So how could this have possibly happened? But we've also asked questions about the quality of the discourse around elections in India, particularly this election, and how it's gotten so bad. I mean, we've seen this happen in previous elections where conversations and campaign speeches largely become personal, lack a certain level of, let's say, decorum, and not really focusing on the issues, but have now been split, as we have seen over and over again, between on religious grounds, on communal grounds. Is it particularly worse in West Bengal this time? And have we ever seen elections in Bengal get this bad? Apart from that, we'll also discuss various things like questions that have been raised about the 8-phase election and whether that in some way benefits somebody, or why the election commission decided to go with an 8-phase election, particularly in Bengal. Also about the various details of this campaign. So ask questions if you want to. This is meant to be sort of a quick ready reckoner for those of us who are not in Bengal to be able to understand this better. To help us, figure this out, we have two brilliant people join us right now. Shikha Mukherjee is a very senior journalist who's always been very generous with her time. And we also have Mr. Sambit Pal, who is a journalist, a writer, who's written extensively about politics in Bengal, and he's currently professor also at the Indian Institute of Mass Communication. Good evening to both of you, and thank you for joining us. My first question is going to be about the quality of the conversation around Bengal elections, and whether you find this out of ordinary. Is it distasteful? What is the reaction right now inside of Bengal to what we're seeing play out around this election? Ms. Mukherjee, I'll start with you.
Well, I think the conversation in Bengal has turned degrees more ugly in recent weeks. And since March 10 evening, if it is possible, it has got even uglier. And why am I saying this? I'm saying this for several reasons. One is that the tone and tenor and the usage of words describing the leadership on both sides. I mean, it's not that anybody is being polite and one side is being polite and the other is not. It's kind of very street smart language that has been used. Back in the day when Jyoti Basu was around, frankly, this is not the kind of language that he used, and therefore there was a kind of decorum which was maintained. However, since last evening, when Mamta Banerjee was obviously in pain and distress, whether it's because of an accident or because, as she said, she was surrounded by people and that caused the car to sort of drive over her leg, or whatever happened. I don't think herself is very clear. The conversation has got really ugly. Why? Because you are seeing a woman in distress, regardless of the fact that she is the chief minister. And then you turn around and say, this is theater, this is faking it, and that she is doing this to play a victim card. Now, there are many things that one can say, but I've been sort of rereading some of the things that have been said in the context of uh, the US elections when Hillary Clinton was a candidate. She stumbled, she fell, she was ill, and there was this whole, the media went berserk, questioning her capability of leading the country as a candidate. And this is what it's actually then what it boils down to is the paradox of visible vulnerability. If a woman who is the leader or trying or is contesting as the leader does not show vulnerability, then she is taken as a badass stuffy with no soft side to her. The typical paradox. And then when she is in pain and is looking vulnerable, then promptly the other side, meaning all these very large, tough-looking guys, jump on her and say, "You're faking it. You're doing this to gain sympathy. You are physically vulnerable," because the trope of the leader, the image of the leader, is always young male, physically fit. The older you get, if you're a woman, the frailer you get. Therefore, this is bad politics. And this is exactly the point that is being driven home time and again by every leader, from the Congress to the CPM to the BJP. And it was so ugly. Woman, you fell, you had an accident, you're frail, you're no good, you're faking it, this is theater. You actually are not a winner anymore. You are no longer somebody that we need to take seriously. I think it's particularly bad.
Ms. Mukherjee, quick question. There are some, and we're not going to share this on the screen, but there are one or two news organizations that are carrying reports saying that the local police has said it was probably an accident. Is there confirmation of that, among the news reports in West Bengal?
There is, in the sense that from last night, what I have been hearing from people that I've been talking to within the Trinamool is that probably it was an accident. There was no intentionality behind it, but that she was crowded, that the guys was, she has this habit of leaving her security detail behind.
Let me also bring in Mr. Pal on this. For our audience who got a little worried, I said Sambit Pal. No need to get worried. Mr. Sambit Pal, Mr. Pal, and I'm going to call you Mr. Pal just to sort of clear that up, and so nobody else gets really worried. And you were commenting before we started the show as well that you're deeply disappointed in in the sort of turn the discourse has taken in this election. Do you believe that let's put a pin in that about it could have been an accident, it could have been an attack, anything could have happened. The police is looking into it, which is how all of these things should go. But in either cases, an individual was hurt. Should there have been a better reaction to it?
Yeah, absolutely right. I mean, there should have been a better civilized reaction to it. But the kind of conversation that has come up on the social media by political leaders of certain political parties, that's really irritating. I mean, a politician will not take it like this, will go to hospital, get a leg bandaged and, lie on the bed at a hospital bed for a few days or, whatever days when the election campaign is picking up. She was hurt, she's injured, and we should sympathize because of that. I understand, there are historical references, the way Mamta Banerjee had done her politics. People had reasons to disbelieve her, but here we could see what has happened. Now the question is, it is a matter of investigation, what exactly happened there. So we're getting different versions from people there in Nandigram where this incident had taken place. Initial reaction by local people were that it was an accident. But then today the SP had gone there, the DM had gone there, so they were investigating. So that is a separate path. But the kind of language that is being used against Mamta Banerjee, that's very disturbing to me. We may have political differences, but this is, I think, should be attributed to the political culture what we are witnessing in West Bengal. Many are calling it rise of the subalterns. Subaltern languages are being used, but this kind of conversation was limited to tea stalls, right? I mean, it was not a mainstream conversation that we used to hear, but now the leaders are using it. So some of my friends love to call it the Lumpenization of political language that we are witnessing in West Bengal, and yesterday's incident, the reaction to it is just part of that.
Okay, I actually want to move on now to talking about the real election, and obviously going by what both of you are saying, this is a high stakes battle for both parties. But there are sort of reports coming in from the ground that the BJP has made notable inroads. Even the exit polls show that while the exit polls give the state perhaps in many cases to the TMC, it's showing the BJP as really having formed a foothold over multiple years of very hard work, and is the BJP likely to emerge as the main opposition party to Mamta Banerjee after this election? Mr. Pal?
Yeah, we do not know what's going to be the result, whether BJP will defeat Mamta Banerjee and come to power, or will sit on the opposition. But this is a bipolar election that we are witnessing, and this change has happened in last 1 decade, I would say, and especially after 2017, when BJP's central leadership had given this push towards the organizational revamp and Hindutva aggression and many other strategies that they had taken up post 2017. And that was, I think, keeping in mind 2019 Lok Sabha election, because they wanted to get as many seats as possible from the eastern part of the country for Narendra Modi's re-election. And that had actually changed the whole political ballgame. And also the decline of the left as opposition has also kind of given a space to BJP. And they have captured it rightly, and now it's a bipolar election that we are going to witness.
So effectively, what you're saying is that Bengal, Bengal elections and Bengal politics from now on is going to be about two parties, and those two parties are going to be the TMC and the BJP. Whichever one wins, this is what the landscape is going to look like going forward. The Congress and the left don't really count. But I want you to help us understand when you say. And we know that Amit Shah had launched his sort of Look East campaign, where he said, we want to look at the Northeast, we want to look at Bengal, this is where we want to focus. What actually happened on the ground over the last 3 or 4 years to build for this election? Because it's not something they started doing 6 months ago. This has been going on for a while.
Exactly. As I said, in 2017 is a crucial year when they had launched a campaign to dislodge Mamta Banerjee's government, or at least decimate her power that she enjoys in West Bengal. So various things had happened, and I wouldn't really give all the credit to BJP. It's also the fault lines were also on part of Mamta Banerjee as well, which has caused the rise of BJP in Bengal. So various things had happened. Number one, on the part of BJP, they revamped the organization. Number two, they launched their aggressive Hindutva campaign to polarize people on religious line, and that transcended, that went beyond religious polarization. It was also polarization of caste and communities in Bengal, but keeping in mind the Muslims at one side and then others on the on the other side. Be it Motua, when they're talking about Matuas or Namashudras, they are posing this threat that the Bangladeshi infiltrators, which are actually they are not saying it in clear terms all the time, but those are Muslims who are going to disturb the demographic the condition of Bengal. So it's Motua versus Bangladeshi infiltrators, who are mainly Muslims. It's Hindi-speaking Hindus and Urdu-speaking Muslims in certain areas in industrial belt. So this is how they had, started doing their politics of polarization. And at the same time, they also.
But hang on, so if I may please, and I don't understand the history of Bengal politics, so I'm going to ask you really basic questions. Did this divide not already exist? Back in the days of independence, Bengal has faced riots. It's had a series of problems that date back 70 years. Is this something that has happened now because of this campaign? Didn't those fault lines already exist before it?
Yes, it was there. In fact, many people, would say that, I'm talking and kind of exaggerating things. I don't know whether Shikha will agree with me, but this communal sentiment was always there in the mind of Bengalis. Yeah. And that has historical reasons, because, we should go back to the colonial period, when the British had practiced their divide and rule policy, and they wanted to divide Bengal on religious line, and ultimately it was divided on religious line. 1935 onwards, when there was provincial government, the election was held on religious religious line. I mean, the constituencies were broken into on the basis of religious representation. And we had this 1946 Great Calcutta killing, which was a huge, bloodbath and communal riots that we had seen. But post-independence, since, after partition, the Muslim-dominated areas had gone to Bangladesh, which was East Pakistan at the time, and Hindu-dominated areas were in West Bengal. There was this tension had gone down a little, and there were reasons for that. The Congress had taken the space of the ruling party. The left had emerged, and they diverted the whole attention towards economic rights, fighting for economic rights and social justice and all. So this tension was there, but it was, put under carpet. And then, the Hindutva brigade, the Hindu Mahasabha and Jansangh, they did not have a strong leader who could actually lead this, tension forward. And until 2017, this Ram Navami celebration, which we had witnessed, it was kind of landmark celebration, I would say, that had changed the politics of Bengal. And then this is political polarization started happening at the grassroots level. The RSS fringe organization, they were operating, and they had mobilized people. And when it came to electoral politics, these people found the stronger opposition to TMC, and they had gone to BJP's, the votes had gone to BJP's kitty. So this is how I would like to say, but it was always there. Caste was always there, but it was diverted in other direction by the left government, which ruled for almost 3.5 decades.
Ms. Mukherjee, first of all, I want to know if you agree, and I want to know from you what impact CAA and NRC will play in the Bengal elections.
See, I entirely agree with Sambit's analysis. I will only add one thing, which is that there was a political consensus to keep communal issues out of politics. And this was established in 1947 after the Great Calcutta killings. That's the only little bit of context I would put in. And the BJP's emergence then becomes, how then does the BJP emerge in this situation? And there I will give the small, just a small context. You see, in about the late 1998, Mamta Banerjee forms the TMC. And then she is making her bid to oust the left government. One of the things she does is to weaponize. Soft communalism is a weapon that Mamta Banerjee crafted. She did it against the left by going in for soft Hindutva. And that kept the BJP for a bit at bay. And then come the 2011 election, she knows that she has to get, in order to break the deadlock, she needs the so-called Muslim vote. And she does this by creating visuals. It's not that the secularism agenda disappears secularism as a value and a principle in West Bengal's politics disappears. It's not that. It's just that she creates these visual appeals, and that then becomes part of the appeasement politics, giving the BJP the space when it can say, okay, Muslim appeasement versus majoritarian anxiety.
So actually, this is really important to point out to our audience that Mamta Banerjee actually announced a sort of stipend for imams. She was seen in these, at events with the Muslim community. She would cover her head with her sari in a way that, yes. So she started this. And the BJP found room then to respond to it. So to say that this is entirely the doing of the BJP would be completely false.
I think Sambit made the observation that the space was created. So yes, they stepped into the space.
What impact do you think CAA and NRC will have on this election?
What is CAA NRC? On the one hand, there is this the biggest clientele for the CAA NRC what was a community called the Mathuas, Namashudros, Panete. They're scheduled castes, but they're very low in the rankings of scheduled castes. Very successful community, by the way. But they're by no means an outlier from the main general population, nothing like that. Very successful community, but they wanted citizenship because somehow the BJP has successfully conveyed to them that they were sort of marginal. Their existence was uncertain, and that the legality of their papers was questionable. Mamta Banerjee took the position, nothing doing, you have papers, you are citizens, you vote, therefore you are a citizen. And then along comes CAA, NRC in Assam, becomes an issue in West Bengal. And then on the 19th of December, Mr. Amit Shah pulls the rug from under the Matua community's feet by declaring that CAA, NRC, nothing is going to go forward till the pandemic issues resolved, and who knows how long that will take. And then he also acknowledges that there are no rules as yet on how this process is going to be carried forward because the rules have not been framed. The question is that if CAA NRC becomes an issue in West Bengal's this election, then the BJP has to make it automatically becomes an issue in Assam. And there, the CAA NRC has been a disaster. Because the people who have been enrolled, those who have been enlisted, those who have been declared as non-citizens, there is chaos there. And so I think the BJP has been careful to they have not used those two words, CAA and NRC, but there is no way in which they're not raising the issue. And that's, I think, the politics that is playing out. They are saying that the illegal immigrants, infiltrators, they will be identified from whichever little hole they have hidden themselves in, and they will be thrown out. In other words, we are going to clean. There is going to be a communal cleanup in Bengal when we come to power. That is one of the first things that we are going to do. And the remarkable thing is that this is a statement which is not necessarily Amit Shah or Mr. Modi. It is coming from people like Adityanath, who was campaigning in North Bengal.
Right. A quick question also to Mr. Pal. Mr. Pal, the BJP has no sort of candidate face. They've got Mithun Chakrabarti, who's just joined them, but no local candidate face. This is something that Mamta Banerjee has perhaps capitalized on by calling herself the insider and everybody else the outsider. But there have been many, many people who have switched sides from TMC to BJP, including Mukul Roy. How does that help the BJP? Can they survive? Can they, battle this election without a without a chief ministerial candidate?
So that's a difficult fight, that battle that BJP is fighting in Bengal, that they do not have any face, because there is no face in BJP who can match Mamta Banerjee's stature. So that's very clear, and they are not talking about anyone. They're thinking that the way they had won Uttar Pradesh, they had won Tripura, they will replicate the same in Bengal as well. And Narendra Modi's leadership will be the kind of, he will be the face for BJP and good governance and stuff like that. So Mamta Banerjee's, they cannot match it. And now, if you are talking about the exodus that we have seen from TMC to BJP, we must remember that most of these leaders are like ornaments in BJP, because the BJP structure is such that they will not allow everyone to come up in the leadership unless they can play a good role in the whole electoral politics. And many of them, I won't name, but very senior leaders who had joined from BJP to TMC to BJP, they still do not have entry to the headquarters of RSS. So the main objective of BJP to get these people is to weaken TMC, and this has been their strategy in many other states that they have taken.
Has it worked, Mr. Pal?
It has worked. Morally, the ranks and files were disturbed. I mean, they have made this chaos, and that has really caused some anxiety in the TMC ranks and files, of course. But they are not showing it in that way. It had caused problem in 2019. In 2021, Mamta Banerjee is a little prepared now because she has the help of Prashant Kishore to back up the organizational matters. And I think she is a little prepared this time, but yes, of course, it has disturbed certain pockets of TMC when the leaders have joined BJP, and especially Shubhendu Adhikari joining BJP was a cause of concern. And then we have seen how Mamta Banerjee has filed a nomination from Nandigram, where Shubhendu Adhikari is also fighting the election from.
There's a question from Aman Peshawari. He said left was ruled, the West Bengal was ruled by left-wing parties for many, many years. Are people now looking for the BJP as a change to that? But I must remind Aman, they went from the left to Mamta Banerjee, which is considered soft left, I guess. And from there now, is this a trajectory? Is this a route, perhaps, to the right? And Bengal has never been right. Not right versus wrong, right versus left.
Do you want me to answer?
Yes, I know you have to leave, so quick answer from you, and then I'll take the
Right. Yeah, I mean, this is very strange. I always give this example when we used to go to the field for reporting in 2007, 8, 9. We used to report, anti-land acquisition movement. The farmers used to protest against land acquisition for industrialization. So we used to report that. We used to report on, industrialization drive. How it's going to, how much investment is coming, if there is any new investor who is coming and not. In next, in 10 years down the line, what the journalists are doing is, covering the communal tension. They're covering which caste is going to vote for whom, if the Muslims are, getting divided with the rise of Abbas Siddiqui or not, whether Rajbangshis will vote for BJP or Mamta Banerjee. So this, politics of livelihood, social justice, economic justice, that has changed into identity politics, and that's very strange. And that is the trajectory that we have seen from left to center of the left to now extreme right, that politics is panning towards at this moment. But I would say that that has happened because of the weak response that Mamta Banerjee has given to the BJP's politics, because there is lack of strong ideological foundation that Mamta Banerjee is suffering from. Where she is not being able to fight the battle with BJP and RSS combined, who have a very strong ideological stance. And that's why she is, going to temples and, running around in temples in Nandigram and in other areas, and not at all talking about Muslims and all. So this is a problem that West Bengal is, witnessing, and left is trying to raise those issues again, but they are a marginal force.
Ms. Mukherjee, Mamta Banerjee is coming off 10 years of anti-incumbency, which is hard for any politician to do. How will the anti-incumbency affect her? And also, what has her performance been on the ground as a chief minister? Because that's something she's going to be battling as well.
Well, I think anti-incumbency is always an issue, and that is part of the course. But there is also the other problem, which, and I think this is something which has emerged just recently, that there is also questions. This election has also turned into a kind of report card on the Modi government's performance. It's not just anti-incumbency for the Trinamool Congress, it's also an anti-incumbency for the Modi government because of this LPG, kerosene, petrol, diesel price hike and its impact across the country. I mean, Lok Sabha was in uproar. West Bengal has reacted to it. Other states are reacting to it. Therefore, I think this is also something which is going to play out in this election. Anti-incumbency of the Mamta government is how the Trinamool Congress has converted delivery of certain programs, benefits, and schemes into a money-making racket. In other words, there is this fee that Trinamool at the ground level is extracting for the delivery of the service. But where Mamta Banerjee has done, I think, exceedingly well, and this is I think one of the most amazing things that has happened. You know, in Tamil Nadu, Jayalalitha made a full series of programs targeted at the young woman and the girl child. Mamta Banerjee has just taken off from there and has created programs that put the focus on the entitlement of the girl child to completing her education and then moving on to the tertiary level, which is the university and colleges and things. The other thing that she has done is made it possible for the girl to decide when to marry and who to marry, because there is a 25,000 rupee waiting for her if she marries after 18. So it also that creates a lot of changes which any economist, any woman, any economics, any expert on economics who's looked at how these development strategies pan out for the benefit of women and change the base for women in the long term. She has played this long game. And then there is this other issue which she has done, which is this universal access to health card. And that's very successful because it says that there is no eligibility criteria. So everyone is entitled to a card. So, and the card is in the name of the woman. So this is also a textbook development strategy which says that if you give the woman access to health, then you change things for a long time. So these are some of the more interesting things, which is why Mamta Banerjee has a women's voters constituency.
All right.
That's interesting.
Ms. Mukherjee, thank you so much for joining us. Mr. Pal has also left a little early today, but I do hope we can continue to have these conversations as things in the election develop and become clearer as to which way this one is headed. But it's obviously going to be a nail-biting finish. Thank you so much for speaking to us this evening. For our audience, our news is going to be up at 9 o'clock. So remember to catch it. Also, as a request to everyone who's watching, do remember to share the video of the news with as many people as you can, because that's sustenance for us, the number of people who actually get to see it. We'd like to widen our audience right now to more people who'd benefit from that news bulletin. So do share it. It would help us a great deal. Thank you so much for watching. Good night.